do with my hands? What do I do with my hands? 30 seconds of dead air. It's not a good way to do things. Hey, I love you too. Live. Yeah, doing live. I gonna wait about 1 minute and then I'll begin. And then I'll need a fluffer in here. Just kidding. No fluffers. No fluffers. That's weird. That's weird. I used to do live stuff all the time, and it got rather tedious. Ophelio, how are you, friend? Jacob Polson. Man, all my homies are on here. People from around the world. Tennessee, right there. Dominican, Colorado. And the Colorado guy can speak with the Dominican in his native tongue. Anyway, sitting here today, getting ready to head to the great state of California. And I'm packing up. How do I sound, by the way? I've got a funky little microphone sitch going on here. Getting packed up, and I'm making sure I got all my stuff, and I'm reading through some emails. And yo, Oklahoma. Where's Yukon, Oklahoma? North Dakota, New York City. Badass. Badass. All kinds of stuff. Thanks. Good. I'm uh I'm noticing a lot of discrepancies in the knowledge of laws on what firearms are allowed, how to transport them, how to carry them. My buddy Jacob Polson, that happens to be on here, is the owner, CEO, founder out at Concealed Carry Inc. in Colorado. They sell a cool book, by the way, that gives you all the details on laws for interstate transport of firearms and things like that, concealed carry laws. Is there specific things like magazine restrictions, etc.? And it kind of blows my mind, one, that there's books like that, or that we've got the internet. And it seems like a lot of times folks are going to like Reddit threads or I don't know, whatever you youngsters are doing to communicate, and not uh, maybe going to the source. Like, what's a good source? The state police of the state that you live in, or whatever the body is that issues concealed carry license or manages your firearm laws, whatever that might be in your state. So that was one thing that I wanted to discuss here as I'm packing up. Know and understand the freaking laws where you live. Second thing, I've been involved in the last couple of weeks in several issues where students and or friends had some law enforcement interaction with firearms. And this is going to be like kind of like the Q&A portion of this little live feed. I'll leave it up, and you folks that tuned into this later can uh, comment, and we'll try to answer questions as can be. I'm going to give you two scenarios. Both of them are real. Neither of them are fictitious or anecdotal. They're real, factual events. Okay, so check this out. Um, First one, and I can't give super specifics because this person is in the midst of a court battle. Female, uh, very high level professional medical doctor. They about 60ish years old, pulling into a parking stall at like a shopping center in a major city, and somebody else decides, hey, that's my parking space. So it's two females, the female that I know and the other person. The other person starts screaming, that's my parking space, blah, blah, blah. The individual that I know, we'll call her the victim. The victim is unable to back out because the aggressor has got her car pulled up to the back of the victim's car. So the victim's like, just let me leave. Just shut up. You can take the parking space. The aggressor is telling her, I'm going to beat your ass, and yelling at her, telling her all that stuff. So normally I say, drive away, just drive away, just drive away. Now, this gets to the point where this victim feels, man, I can't drive away. This person's still screaming at me. They're being super aggressive too. I'm speaking. This sounded like they were screaming from what I can tell. Eventually, she says to the woman, victim says to the aggressor, hey, I'm not going to just sit here and let you hurt me. I got to let you know I'm armed. At this point, aggressor turns about face, takes off. Victim tries to pull herself together. She's not used to this type of stuff. She's not involved in violence and or just idiot screaming at her. She goes into the store, comes out, and local law enforcement's there where they promptly arrest her. She pleads the fifth, doesn't say anything, gets hauled off to court, or rather to jail, pardon me, spends the night in the county jail. Secures legal counsel and is right now waiting for the prosecution to see what they're going to do. I'm going to come, this Illinois gun law effect thing, I'll talk about that in a second. I'll come back to that. I just want to finish my point here. So, right now, I'll pause. What'd she do right? What'd she do wrong? And the point of the discussion isn't, hey, let's talk to Mickey so he can tell you how to handle these things. I'm not the arbiter of all that's right, but this situation comes up a lot. This situation almost exactly like this happened to a loved one of mine, and the loved one was arrested. Eventually, all the charges were dropped, but not after a couple years of hell. In this situation, the aggressor went and called 911 and lied, said this person pointed a gun at me and told me they were going to kill me. To the best of my knowledge, I have to believe the person that I know, in this case, the victim. Victim says she never did that, never showed her a gun, never pointed a gun, never said, I'm going to kill you. All she said, she stated was, I have a firearm. I'm not going to let you hurt me. We are often told in this space, and by the way, I've got a CCW Safe shirt on. I am not representing them in this discussion. I'm wearing their shirt because I support their brand. So don't see this, hear the conversation, and think I am passing on information from CCW Safe. But oftentimes we are told never talk to the cops. You have to talk to the cops. If I call 911, I have to call the cops. Why would I call 911? Because if I'm in a situation like this where I feel like the other person might call the police, and this is where things get misconstrued. It's not I'm going to run to the phone so that I beat them. It's if it's a situation where somebody's going to contact law enforcement, I want law enforcement to immediately know my side. Hey, this is Mickey. I'm over at the Apple Creek Shopping Plaza, and I was just trying to park, and I don't know what happened exactly, but somebody felt that I was in their parking space. I tried to give them my parking space, and they threatened me. I would love it for a police officer to come over and talk to me. Probably a lot better than just going into the grocery store, because now the narrative is whatever they heard. There's no camera footage. Um, it's his or her word against her word. And oftentimes we say, oh, the police are stupid or the prosecutor's stupid. Shouldn't you be believed? Wouldn't you want your local police department, your local sheriff's department, your local state's attorney prosecutor's office to believe you if you had a story to tell? So sometimes this idea, this notion, I've talked about this with Andrew Branca, I've talked about this with Don West, and I've talked about this with other attorneys, including my state's attorney. I think his signature is right here, actually, in my community. This idea of not to say anything is a little bit silly, um, to a point, right? I have to give some information. Who am I? Why am I here? Right? Do I have to explain every nut and bolt? I'd have closed the window and called the police first. I would too. She was denied her right to leave. She was denied her right to leave. So these types of situations, why I bring this up is this stuff comes up so often, and so often we in this community, when I say this community, like concealed carry armed people that are thoughtful about a very rare instance, right? If you think about what we're talking about right now, 80 some odd people are having a conversation about an extremely rare event. You know, like, hey, what'd you do this afternoon? I listened to a gray-haired gentleman sit in a lounge chair and chat with me about what I should do if ever accosted in a parking lot. Well, that sounds rather bizarre, does it not? That said, Sig and gonads, shouting gonads. I don't know, man. Like, is this really? Are we 8? Are we 8 years old? Are we 8 years old? Because this is such a rare event, this is one of these events though that if we get things wrong, we can really cause an issue for ourselves. We can cause an issue because all it takes is for this thing to get when we turn the water on at the sink, right? We've got hot water and cold water. And depending on which one I turn on, I'm going to let one or the other out. I need to control where this thing goes. And I don't want to just leave it to chance or happenstance. I think a good way of looking at that is most things in our lives that we just let go however they're going to go, usually they don't go well. If you just let your education just let the test go however the test is going to go, or you just let the garden go however the garden's going to go, or you just let your body go however it's going to go. Chuck Lutzo, man, what's going on, brother? One of my dear friends, Mr. Lutzo. I owe you a phone call from the other day. I'm sorry I've been on the road. 13th apostle. You can ask any question you want. Right now, I'm posing 2 discussion points. So one is about what do we talk to the police about if involved in any kind of confrontation? It doesn't need to escalate to physical violence. Should you communicate with law enforcement about it? And what should you say or not say? Which also brings up another point. So some people will say, well, I would never tell somebody I have a gun. There's something to be said for that. Now, there is a place for defensive displays of firearms. Now, I've heard plenty of instructor, teacher, educators, if it comes out of the holster, bullets are flying. Well, what if the person changes whatever they're doing, right? If somebody's doing something that requires you to use a firearm to protect yourself or somebody else, and that gun comes up and they stop what they're doing, do you still shoot them? You're like, hell, man, long time ago I decided if I'm ever drawing it, I'm doing it. Well, that'd be weird, right? You had have to change the action if whatever was happening out there changed. So sometimes a defensive display of a firearm may be enough. I would much rather show you a firearm and get you to stop, but I would probably go immediately call the police and say, hey, man, I was in fear for my life. This person that was doing XYZ stopped what they were doing, and I fled, or I went back inside, or I immediately came to call for law enforcement. Then I'd call the lawyer, right? These are very nuanced topics, and we humans, we want that little easy button, right? I want the greatest recipe for Thanksgiving dinner that I only need 2 ingredients for in 5 minutes to cook. You're an idiot if you can't tell me how to do that, right? I want to make $1 million a month and never get out of bed. I want to eat anything that I can possibly put in my mouth and never gain an ounce, right? There's no easy button to these very dynamic human interactions. Everything is fluid, which means your critical and strategic thinking must always be based on the facts of the situation. Very well said, TBT. To be tasty, I think is what you think you meant. Good cops know to limit interviews and interrogations to safety-oriented questions and respect the rights of Pro 2A citizens. Now, how about fuck Pro 2A? Who cares if you're Pro 2A? How about you're a citizen? It doesn't matter if you're a pro Second Amendment person. A person still has a right to be interviewed fairly, right? So I don't even think it matters if you're Pro 2A or not. And I'm not pushing back from you, but I don't think we should silo ourselves into certain things. Now, that said, I'm not suggesting that we should. Brandishing is something different now when we start to dig into the minutia. A defensive display of a firearm is different than the criminal action of brandishing a weapon in that sense. That's why brandishing is considered a crime. I hope that lady wins the case. I think that she will. Um, this is no joke. So think about this: you're a professional. You're a lawyer. And this maybe you're not a criminal lawyer, right? If you're not a criminal lawyer, you're going to go hire a lawyer. Maybe you're a school teacher, and you still may have of this little stitch that should, hey man, I don't want to f my job up, so I'm going to really do everything I can to mind my p's and q's. You know what I'm saying? I think that's super important. Super important that we constantly juggle and think about, man, if I do this, or this, how does it affect long term? Now, once in a while, we find ourselves backed into a corner where we've got to make decisions that right now I'm going to deal with the tomorrow and the downwind consequences. But right now I've got to deal with some heady stuff. Um, Maybe it's a fist fight. Maybe it's having words with somebody. Years ago, I've told this story before. Kanan and I were up in Wyoming, really hot summer day. We're in the middle of nowhere, and we get stuck in an off ramp where they were laying asphalt. Shut the truck off. There for maybe 30 or 40 minutes, and um, the guy that was holding the sign for the company was getting pretty pissed about a lot of things. And it ultimately, I could tell the whole story another time. I've told it before on videos. So I apologize for some of you that never heard it. But this guy was angry that we weren't moving fast enough once it was time to go. And I said to him, I raised my voice and I said, hey, man, we're going as fast as we can. I had to restart the truck. We had reclined our seats because we were sitting there for at least 30 minutes. And he came up and pulled a big knife out, a Marine Corps K-bar, pulled the knife out of its sheath and said, you better move your truck or I'm going to pop all your tires. And I started laughing. I thought, well, if you pop all my tires, I said this to him, how am I going to move the truck if all my tires are flat? And he like waved it at me. And I thought, how dumb. Like, I'm in a vehicle. All I've got to do is push on the gas and I can immediately move away. You're not going to hurt me unless you throw the knife at me and it, scratches my truck or something. Did part of me want to get angry and somehow engage back and forth? Sure. But no good came from that kind of a situation. It's very easy for us to use this idea of I need to be right. I need to win. I need to fricking show this son of a bitch that I'm right. And then all of a sudden now we're dealing with legal problems so that we could feel our pee-pee get a little bit bigger in some nonsensical situation that really has nothing to do with anything. So that kind of a topic is the first thing. So again, big picture, if you have some type of aggressive human interaction, some type of situation that might escalate to violence, do you have a plan for how you'll communicate with law enforcement? And if you will, and how you will. In this modern day and age, man, it's not like the old days where we could just be like, let men take care of it. You can go ahead and do that and then possibly deal with the consequences. Something I suggest that you think about, period. Second point of order, firearm theft. Check this out. I've got a buddy calls me the other day. I hate this story. He says, dude, you're not going to believe this. I'm driving cross country, pulling my cargo trailer. Got really tired all of a sudden. I found a roadside hotel, pull in. They had a night watchman security guy out in the parking lot. He tells the guy, hey, how secure is the parking lot? The guy says, very secure. I'm out here securing the parking lot. Okay, great. It's like 2 a.m. or something. I'm going to go catch a couple hours of shut eye. I'll see you in the morning. Hi back. He wakes up, drops his key off or whatever at the front desk, starts approaching the door and sees his truck and trailer and sees the trailer door open. Heart goes trotting across the parking lot. Oh, God, no. Contents of the trailer spilled out, like 6 guns gone with suppressors, SBR. We're talking like stuff that ATF regulated stuff. Ooh, as soon as I heard this, and the other stuff too, musical instruments, all kinds of stuff. Security guard's gone. Where's the security guard? Oh, he had to go home. Security guard says, I didn't see anything. Everything was fine while I was there. There's no camera footage from anywhere. The businesses in the area will not share any camera footage without court subpoena. That stuff will all be gone. Wrote an email to the Carry Trainer email subscribers today talking about this, and I came up with like 10 things that are part of my plan. I drove 80,000 miles last year. I'm leaving in about 4 hours to go to the West Coast. Thank God I've never had any firearms stolen. First things first, your vehicle is not a gun safe. There's some very significant safes that you can have in vehicles. I've got SWAT buddies, police officers, other folks that have really heavy duty gun safes in their car. Somebody could steal your whole car. Just think about that. There's a notion like it's my crib, it's my castle, I can do whatever. I don't know why I keep doing the Southern accent. I just spent time in Tennessee. My apologies to you Southerners. I love you. Give me some grits. Hush puppies. Anyway, your vehicle is not a gun safe. Number two, park your vehicle in an area that it's super well lit, super seen. I've got a tip that I use. If I tell everybody the tip, then I'm going to lose the ability to do it. But I pull straight up into the vestibule at the hotel. And I tell them that vehicle contains some medical equipment. It does. It does. There's Band-Aids out there. I need to keep it close because some of that medical equipment has got to update on the Wi-Fi. And just going to leave it right there. Is that a problem? 99.9% of the time they say no. Good to go. I almost never do that though. I rent Airbnbs and I find Airbnbs that are far enough out of town that it's just me. I'm not in some crummy neighborhood. Now I know money is a factor, right? Well, if money's a factor, then get a pillow and sleep on the front seat of your car. Do not leave your vehicle with firearms or valuables unattended. How can we easily remedy this? Pack your firearms in a way that when you pull up, you can carry them in. Why is this a problem in many places? Because as you carry in firearms, people see you carrying in firearms, which brings us to the next point. Don't talk about your shit anywhere with anybody that's not a close personal friend. What do I mean? Let me tell you a story. I've got a person I know that's sitting at a bar, running their jaw, saying something that they shouldn't, but they were making a joke. And the joke was something like this. We've all said something like this. Man, that guy, I wish he fricking jumped off a bridge, right? Or, you know what I'm saying. You say something about the well-being of somebody that maybe made you upset, but you're just saying it, right? You don't really wish them ill. You know, we've all said something like this. Man, that guy should just go suck an egg. Well, that's weird. Why suck an egg? But you get it. He said something about the well-being of somebody else, and he didn't realize that somebody 5 feet away was listening. That person took the words of a stranger to them seriously, went outside, and what the guy that was flapping his gums didn't know was that the guy that was sitting over there ran part of the city government in the community, and he called the police chief and said, hey man, I'm sitting at the bar and I just heard this guy say something about somebody that's a mutual friend, and I think he's going to really try to hurt this person. Well, what do you think happened? By the time it went through the food chain, it escalated the telephone game from something stupid like, I wish that guy took a long walk off a short pier, to I'd like to contract hire a hitman. Whoa, what the heck? I never said that. He said, she said. You dig? When we tell people or talk about our stuff, I'm into firearms, I travel around and I own all these beautiful guns. If you saw my gun collection, blah, 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 you don't think that there's somebody? I'll tell you another story. Guy I know used to work for one of the largest cities in Illinois as a policeman. He one day gets a phone call from a sergeant. We need you to come into work. It's like his day off. Okay, comes to work. They sit him down. He does not stupid. He realizes that he is now in an interrogation situation. Holy crap, what happened? Hey, where's your 40 cal Glock at? What do you mean I don't have one? Oh, you don't have one. Oh, wait, you know what? I do have a 40 cal Glock. How the hell do you know that I have a 40 cal Glock? Well, it was used today to shoot a police officer. No joke, this happened. What the hell are you talking about? This dude had a firearm that was stolen. He didn't know it was stolen and used to shoot a policeman. So they finally figure out what happened. He had a firearm stored at his parents' house. Okay. Years before that, he had left this gun in a closet at his parents' house. Cable guy hears that these people might have some guns and starts snooping through, steals the gun. Cable guy sells the gun to a dude on a street. The gun changes hands a couple times and eventually makes its way into the hands of a gang member where it is used to shoot a police officer. My grandfather was in the Navy during World War II. You guys probably heard the saying loose lips sink ships. Shut your mouth. Don't tell people about your business. Don't tell people that you don't know about your business. Some people call this OPSEC, operational security. Don't sit at a bar or be somewhere. And in this space, man, it's amazing how much, if you shut the hell up and just listen, I mean, you'll find out everything about how badass I am. And I shoot guns. I got a training company. I drive around and I do these things, and I've got a closet with guns and bullets. And oh, you like night vision? I got night vision. You like nods? I got, yep, yeah, I think it's the same thing. I'm just using two different words to sound even cooler than I did a minute ago. Yeah, chicks don't want anything to do with me, but bro, I got camouflage underwear, I've got camouflage shoes, right? You know what I'm talking about. Don't tell people about your shit. This is just like not flashing money on the street. And what we're trying to do, especially as we're traveling, is put layers of protection in between us and whoever. Yeah, I like that. Now, here's the other thing, right? I've been to like a SWAT conference before in a hotel. Every single dude there is walking in with freaking luggage, a little different animal. Um, I had a truck of mine broken in 2 years ago, all my carpentry tools stolen. I was 24 years old. Devastating. The insurance company did what insurance companies are good at and weaseled their way out of covering anything. It was devastating. All my power tool stuff that I had spent like 6, 7 years collecting was probably $25,000 of stuff. Um, the chance of me having $25,000 to go replace it, I would have had a better chance of running to the moon and back. I was screwed. It put me in a very bad position. What did I do wrong? I was had a family member getting married. My family was in the wedding. I helped use my work truck to carry some stuff to the wedding, so I parked behind the hotel. No offense to hotel workers, but some people were out there smoking cigs and stuff. I'm assuming one of them probably walked by the van and saw in there and made a phone call while we were in doing the ceremony and or like all the pre-wedding crap. Somebody came, popped the window, emptied it out, and they would have had somebody to tell them, who I was and where I was and that I wasn't in the parking lot. All they needed is a minute. Certain times you're going to have things, right? There's a time and a place. And now there's this other side of things. We live in a free country, right? Got friends with Rolexes. I've got friends with gold chains. You buy your wife a nice diamond ring. We'll never wear that. Somebody could steal it. I mean, part of having stuff is to have stuff. So I think there's a time and a place. 43X, 48 Sig Sauer XL. Desmond, 43X, 48, same gun, blah, blah, blah. One's a little bit longer, the 48. Take your pick. I'd probably get the longer one. I have them both. XL, I don't know. I can't do it anymore. Be the gray man. And you know what? There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with sometimes being a little flashy too, but there is a price to pay for it, right? And if you want to be the guy that rolls up in the Rolls Royce or the Corvette with the rumble and exhaust. People are going to look. People look and they take notice, right? So this dude that had his stuff stolen, man, it's heartbreaking. How could he have fixed that? If I was traveling with what in this case is probably $40,000, $50,000 of firearms, they would have either stayed right with me or I would have stayed right with them in the vehicle. And I've done that. I have stayed with my stuff. You can ask family that's traveled with me if I can't be within 20 or 30 feet of the vehicle, like to go in and have food where I have a sight line, I'm not doing it. Not because I'm so scared. I can replace stuff. The thing that terrifies me. People don't steal guns to plink at pop cans, right? Yes, people may steal them just to sell them for dope or to pay rent. But people that buy stolen guns, by and large, are not using them to shoot pop cans, if you catch my drift. I would never want my negligence and care of a firearm to allow it to be put into the hands of a criminal. Yeah, I mean, so for the 48 to the 43X, the different slide's not going to change anything. The grip is the exact same. That this much slide isn't changing anything. Well, hey, 13th Apostle, I appreciate that. That's very kind. Citizen Carrier, I see that. Um, the Walther's a good gun. They worked through some issues. Sang and I actually had a hand in some of the early iterations of that thing. Um, the problem with anything, you go buy a new truck, right? And companies do their testing and evaluation until it gets put into the hands of the end user. Sometimes engineers don't even know what people are going to actually do with things. The CR920, it's an okay gun. I mean, the Glock that it's designed on will do the same thing too. 300Y, 12 and a half, 40 and a half, red dot. Well, if that's what you recommend, then why not use it? Are you asking to feel um, like you made a good choice in your recommendation? Let's talk about this appendix carry thing. Um, Carrying a pistol pointed at your penis, regardless of what anybody says to you, there's a huge risk factor. We mitigate the risk through a safe firearm and through a holster that securely covers the trigger guard, as well as a safe reholstering and drawing process. But make no mistake, you're pointing the gun at yourself. Um, if the idea of having the gun forward of the hips, hey Antonis, love you, man. If you the idea of the gun forward of the hips, which is one of the main reasons we do it, it's fun watching. Let me take a quick aside from this. Yesterday, a friend of mine sent me a message showing me some maintenance he had done on a Beretta 92, something gunked up, and I was like, oh yeah, that's like a real problem with Beretta 92s. He's like, oh my God, I didn't know that. And I thought everybody knew that. Now here's the thing, I never knew it until somebody told me. But when Berettas were one of the most popular pistols in the world, every armorer and person that shot the shit out of the gun knew that the firing pin channel would fill up with gunk to the point that eventually you'd start to get light strikes. Now, guys, and this dude, I would consider him to be a 92 aficionado. Um, Appendix carry. You're not even spelling it right, buddy. You're not even spelling it right, but I like it. He didn't know it. And why? Here's my point. Knowledge, it disappears, right? How many of you know how to can food? Some of you do. How many of you know how to tan leather? Maybe one or two of you. How many of you know how to cut a rafter the old school way? How many of you know um, how to dope a rifle without your phone or an app, right? How many of you know how to do the things that used to be done a certain way? The information that we once had disappears. So, full circle, carrying in the appendix position is not new at all. I was just watching a lovely old video with Robbie Latham from the late 70s, early 80s, probably. And those guys all were carrying right here, outside the waistband, but it doesn't matter. The gun's oriented in the same spot. Having your jeans over the holster or on the outside of it doesn't matter. Uh, but it is a conscious choice, and I think there's a couple issues in this space. I was talking with um, John Holshin yesterday. I did an interview with John. If you don't know who John is a very storied firearms instructor, Green Beret, global war on terror guy, contractor, been around. He's got to be in his 60s. Very respected. He was a Green Beret medic, and he did some stuff like in the super special side of special operations. But John and I, John's a little bit older than me, and I would consider John a mentor of mine, not just because he's a little bit older, but like the space and time that he was learning. And one of the issues that we're seeing is there's dudes that have been shooting for a few years and now they're instructors. Um, I've been training jujitsu on and off for 20 some odd years. I'm not an instructor. Is there some things like with a partner I can be like, hey, maybe move your hand here or there? Yeah, for sure. If one of my coaches said, hey, Mick, work with the new guy over there, kind of show him what we're working on, yes, I can do that. Am I going to go set up a jujitsu school and start teaching people? Do people with my level of experience do it? All the time? Um, Am I comfortable to do that? No. I'm not comfortable to do it because I know I would be doing a disservice to the students because I don't know enough. And right now, there are shit tons of guys teaching. I'm saying teaching because it pisses me off. I'm getting a little self righteous here for a minute. And I will also say this, I've been that guy. Uh, there's that old adage like, when will you know you're ready? Because somebody comes to you, and they say, help me out. But there's some also a know yourself point. One of the guys whose name we just saw in here is a dean at a university, professor. He's now a dean there. So this is, an advanced PhD level guy. Is he qualified to teach? 100% qualified to teach all kinds of things. But you know what he's not going to teach? Something he's not qualified to teach. And in this space, all it takes to be qualified is you saying that you're good to go. The appendix thing. We've got a lot of people that are really interested in raw performance. Cool, man. Do it. Raw performance is badass. They're forgetting about one of the main reasons that we have moved the gun forward of the hips is to be able to fight and access the gun from fighting posture. From my back, right? I can access the gun from diminished positions, less than desirable positions. In fact, my friend Jacob Polson that was on here, I have gone to his event multiple times and taught the diminished lessons course. It's like this dude giving me golf lessons to me, which I'm a 10 handicapper and he's a 21. Sure, I guess. Yeah, you're a better golfer than him. That said, he could be better at putting than you. He could be better at driving than you, right? This demo their drill things, this comes up a lot, but I don't see that. I've never seen an instructor who won't demo their drills. I hear it, but I don't see it. So I'm guessing it must be like a certain little group of people I don't have access to. I don't know. I'm not hanging around these kinds of people. There's a lot of caveats to everything, right? Appendix or not appendix depends on your ability to follow certain rule sets and accepting that you are pointing a gun at yourself. Now, there's some people out there, I've seen some dudes do videos where they try to argue that having the gun on their hip or the small of the back also is pointing a gun at you, and they demonstrate it through various processes. Um, that's bullshit. I can 100% draw and reholster on my hip without ever flagging myself. One thing I'm not doing, like if I had my gun, I've got it sitting right here right now for that you can't have guns in your hand during these live discussions, so I set it down. Um, I'm a scratch golfer. So, timeout. Mark Twain, little Sam Clemens quote. Mark said that golf was nothing more than a good walk spoiled. Pasture pool is what my good friend George Canale called it, pasture pool. Uh, if you like to golf, that's very cool. My response for guys that are like, you don't golf, I usually say, no, man, I'm into chicks. See what I did right there? I completely diminished your little game, but that's cool. That's cool. Whatever. Um, Whatever. You want to run around, chase a ball around, that's good. Hey, cool, man. I appreciate that you like that. Right there. So this comment about watching my video on gripping the gun. Here's an interesting topic. I know guys like Ben Stager, for example, has a completely different idea about how to grip the gun um, than I do. And so I had somebody send me a message, what you put out's bullshit because this guy says something different. And I said, all right, that's cool, man. That's cool. But did you also know that, oh, I don't know, Mike Seeklander, Rob Latham, Travis Tomasi, and I could just keep going, uh, teach it the way I do? So there are different ways to skin a cat. And the other day I had a conversation with four different medical doctors that are friends of mine. And I'm not a medical doctor, so I'm the layman, but I like to discuss these things. The topic at hand, you would think like, oh, four doctors are totally going to agree. Not only did they not agree, but they had like polar opposite viewpoints of this certain treatment technique. And it's like, okay, um, yeah, like there's no consensus here. And so that happens. Texas, I would love to come back to Texas. The range that I have access to in Texas has made some changes. So I can only come there in like the balls hot middle of summer. Not super interested in 117 and a half degrees in August in Texas, but if you have a place, I would love to go. Swamp, I'm going to be in California in 2 days. So we've been posting about that for months. Actually, 1 year it's been up. We've got a class in Zamora, California. What about Kansas City? I love me some Kansas City. Rob Latham, so the thumbs forward grip, there is no such thing as a thumbs forward grip. People, this is one of these bastardized things where point your thumbs forward. Really, the technique was never your thumbs forward. And if you ever train with me, you'll hear me, I do a little discussion on byproducts, right? The thumbs end up there as a byproduct of hand placement. But no, man, guys have been shooting like that for decades. Uh, Latham is a pioneer of the modern techniques that we use for sure. I think that's very kind. Thanks, 13th Apostle. Dry bones rattling. Jesus loves you. Well, thank you, Jesus. Yeah, that's cool, man. Um, yeah. So questions, lay them on me. I'll give you a couple more minutes. Anything else? Um, Anything specific? If I come to Texas, we're probably shooting rifles. I'd like at least a few hundred yards. Yep. And of course, safe, legal. I used to shoot some matches, Sean. To be honest, if I have free time, I'd rather go train jujitsu or go for a walk. I think that I was just talking about this with John yesterday in that podcast we did. Glock 26 or 43X, truth be told, depends. For me, probably 26. But the um, amount of time that we have for things, it's chasing a dragon, so to speak. I think shooting matches is an amazing way to build skill, and it's perishable, and everybody should. Um, I'd rather go to jujitsu. I'd rather go for a walk. I'd rather do push-ups. Best singer in my family, that's subjective, right? Music. My little daughter sings amazing. She's not little. In this podcast room, one time she would come in here because of the audio in here, and I had her do some vocal recordings. She's amazing, but she never likes to sing in front of people. So I would say I love hearing my daughter Lucy sing. My sister, my brother, my mother, my dad, they're all great too. How often do I attend classes now as a student? Um, it's a fun conversation. So Jeremy, that's talking there, is a friend of mine and an instructor. I don't, I don't think I know everything, but I think the use of my time is better. I'm not For me to go to a class to go shoot drills um, is not a big benefit to me. So what I would rather do, I've attended things in the last few years. I went back to the EMT program, which was a big undertaking. That was months long with clinicals. I was spending 30 to 40 hours a week doing um, homework and things like that. I've gone to things like legal studies. I've gone to various martial arts programs. I think if we're just talking about shooting, which sometimes we have to, uh, I'll try to go a couple times a year. Spend a lot more time doing longer range stuff. I've got so many tens of thousands of hours of shooting pistols. Again, I don't know everything, but for me to go spend a whole weekend somewhere, um, I'm not going to take too much out of it. And you know what I do a lot of times? I've got friends. Like I went with JJ Rakaza and filmed for a day on the range and shot with JJ, or I'll do something like that. I'm going to try to scroll back up while we're here. I see these upstate New York questions. We gotta work on that. Golf does suck. Screw golf. Yeah, you should definitely, any new guns, you should lube them up. Best part of grandpa life, sending them home. I'm just kidding. Um, I wish I got to spend more time with my granddaughter. It's not for me. She's, mom's busy, things are busy. Um, it's just amazing to see the beauty of watching my daughter be a mom. That's pretty damn cool. 100-yard shot with a pistol. I've tried it. Well, what are you trying to shoot? A barn? Or are you trying to shoot a cigarette in half? Shooting a piece of IPSC steel or something, uh, shooting something this big at 100 yards depends on is the gun even capable of it. Um, a stock Glock, you should be able to shoot something out to a hundo no problem, like a piece of C-zone steel. Why stigma with tourniquets? Uh, why is there a stigma with tourniquets? Can you ask that question another way? Is if it's a 9 mil, don't need to oil it. It's good out of the box. No, I disagree. I disagree, Chode. Um, those firearms can sit for weeks or months on a shelf. Um, the idea of leaving these guns dry is stupid. Metal on metal is going to wear out. Yeah. Yeah, Andy's a good friend. We just were with him a couple of weeks ago. Appreciate that. Have an X5. I've got no ill will towards SIG. By the way, I own a bunch of them. So you saw the videos I put out. Favorite 12 gauge. Uh, for me, it's going to be my first gun ever, a Remington 870. I've got it in the other room, wood stock, blued finish. Uh, but if I was going to invest in a new one, like for home defense, if it was a budget, I'd get a Mossberg 500 with the extendo tube. Don't need anything fancy. Dude, the new Mossberg auto loaders, dollar for dollar, are pretty freaking sweet. The Berettas and guns like that are really nice, but you're paying a lot. You're paying a lot. I disagreed. I don't know what that means. Why aren't there tourniquets in first aid kits at restaurants, construction sites, offices? I think that means offices. Got it, John. Well, tourniquets, this is pretty common knowledge. Mankind has known for millennia that if blood's leaking out of you, you've got to keep it in. Um, Joe Gupton, who used to teach with us at the S12 event, a storied Green Beret medic, rest in peace, homie, uh, would start his discussion saying, "Hey, who designed the first tourniquet?" And people would be like, "North American Rescue," or whatever, and he'd say wrong, and he'd tell you about Spartan graves being dug up, and these guys having on their wrapped around their bones a leather strap with a wood windlass. So for thousands of years, people have understood. Um, Medicine has a lot of misconceptions, science, right? There's a lot of things that we attach as fact and then we don't figure it out till later. One thing is for certain: without blood, you will die. And one thing's for certain: uncontrolled bleeding will eventually stop itself. So rather than ask why don't these places have them, either get them to have them or have them yourself. And even beyond having a little store-bought tourniquet, understand improvised tourniquets. I think that's very important to have. Favorite way to brew coffee? You know what I've been doing, Professor, is I was really into French press for the last couple years, and now I'm using a Chemex. Chemex is a beautiful, made in the USA, hourglass shaped uh, glass. I guess you call it a pot, and it's got a paper filter, and that paper filters out a lot of the oils in the coffee. That's a really, and of course I fresh grind it. So if you guys don't know, let me just show you. Since I'm since I'm talking coffee, we own Ignis Lux Coffee. My wish would be that you guys all are signed up for our coffee subscription. It shows up at your door. You're paying about the same as you would for a bag of coffee at the grocery store, but two things are different. One, it is going to be super fresh. Coffee at the grocery store can be weeks, months, or even years old. Usually, if it's at the grocery store, it's 6 months to a year old. Ours is going to be days old, and it's better. It's kick ass. And I roast it myself. How's that? Grease or oil? So, the old grease or oil argument's an interesting one. So, oil is not grease, but grease is oil. What? So grease is oil with a binding agent of some sort. And there's various types of that. Now, the argument on just use Mobil 1 or just use old transmission fluid or just use this or that is so stupid. Could you just use motor oil? Yes, you could get corn oil and put it on your gun. You could put butter on your gun. There's a reason that you don't put transmission fluid in the gearbox. There's a reason that you don't put axle grease into the transaxle. There's a reason that you don't put motor oil into the rear end. Different greases and oils are designed and created to do different things. Uh, and the one thing that makes gun oil, especially high quality synthetic oil, do what it does well is, think about this, for example, the guys that love to say just use car oil. Car oil, like Mobil 1 or something like that, is not just the same as synthetic gun oil. It is made to be pumped through a filter. It's made to be cooled. It's made to be constantly pushed over a surface. And it's actually meant to not stick as much as, say, a grease. Why? Because if it sticks, it's not going to flow back down to the filter, and with it, it strips heat. If you've got a turbocharged engine, you're going to want to think about oil in a different way than a non-turbocharged engine. I don't want to go deep in the weeds on that. But grease has basically got a suspension agent in it, which is going to help you uh, keep it stuck into an area like a wheel bearing or some area that you don't want it to pool up. Works really great for revolver actions, shotgun actions, areas where you want to create a boundary layer. Hot dog or a sandwich, really neither for me. Yeah, the 300's a great gun. The Illinois gun laws don't affect me too much. I follow the law. I'm a timber cutter. Dust sticks to the oil. It's a fine line. If I oil, I have to blow them off every couple of days with air. If I run dry, I can just bang it on the bumper and get it plenty clean. Yeah, man. So this is also one of these things like know your situation, right? So if I've got a job like this cat, James, where I'm covered in sawdust and it's my carry piece and it's the kind of gun that can run dry, um, I'm going to run it for it to work optimally. If I'm running my guns on the range and I'm shooting the snot out of them, oil the snot out of them. All you're going to do is make it last longer. It's just a no-brainer. That's a good point. I don't think that they were looked at as blasphemous tourniquets, but some medical professionals surely thought so. I don't believe that they were blasphemous. I got to roll out too. I appreciate you. Civil Liberty Defense, Pilgrim ammo. I'm not sure about Pilgrim. Just buy the best. Super Bell, baby. Love from the LGBT community. I love a grown man that can talk passionately. Why does it have to be LGBTQGA? I mean, it's cool if that's the community that you're from, but yeah, cool, man. The way I clean my guns is with Rem oil and extreme weapon grease. After the firearm is clean, I apply the oil first and then I put the weapon grease on top. Well, that's weird, man. You put grease then oil? All right, cool, cool. Show us your transaxle. You set up, you pervert. You don't even know what a transaxle is. Certain diet? Yeah. Yeah, my diet consists of the food the way God made it. And I probably ate that way my whole life. You know, a couple of years in my youth, I probably ate more junk than I do now, but by and large, vegetables, meats, good fruits. Um, if I drink soda, pop, what some of you guys call it, could be once every 2 or 3 years. And if I drink it, it's not like a treat. I have really no desire to drink pop. I don't eat candy. If I eat sweets, like a cake or a pie or something, or ice cream, it's going to be primo. And what do I mean by primo? Like we've got a local uh, uh, frozen custard joint that uses fresh cream, fresh eggs, right? Like quality ingredients. Last night we made apple crisp for dessert. Apples, raisins, cinnamon, Irish butter. What else did I put in there besides oats? I had a few. I think I put uh, some barley in there and bran and a couple tablespoons of good brown sugar, shit like that. And then whip up some heavy cream, real heavy cream, not freaking, but real heavy cream that you whip up. So just, I eat food the way that God made it. And magically, I can still consume beer and not get fat. You got to move. We try to train physically. I think every single day, you can't outwork a bad diet. And conversely, just because you work out like crazy, if you're eating trash, it's not just about caloric intake. I'm not a doctor, but if you're eating, I mean, look at the back of what's on, food bag. And when you can't pronounce anything, that's a clue, dude. That's a clue. 2011s. This is funny. Me and Paul were just talking about this. All these guys talking about the problems with 2011s. And it's like, yeah, these were the same problems with 1911s from a maintenance, safety issue, things like that. There's a reason that the Series 80 1911 safety system came out to make them safer. Um, I think this is a good ending point. I love chatting with you guys. If this is helpful to you, if you found it enjoyable, I'll be honest, creating content to post up on the YouTube is a lot of work. And I want to do it. I enjoy doing it, but I don't want to do it just to feed an algorithm. So if there's things that you want to talk about that you think will be beneficial to our community, beneficial for us to make video content on, shoot me a message. Put it. I'm going to use this video. I'll leave it up, and we'll just throw things up in the comments, and we'll grab at it, and then maybe Maybe what we can do is another live, and then we'll like pick some of the questions from this one and we'll hit it up. But I'd love to make some videos for you. I'd love to see you guys in class. California this next week. We got Tennessee. We got a 3-day rifle course in Ohio. It's going to be freaking badass. Jefferson, Ohio, totally private range. We'll be the only people out there out to 1,300 yards. So we're going to come with our carbines and we're going to stretch these babies out. We've got a Michigan class. It's already on the calendar. I love it when people say, come to, and I'm like, yeah, man, I was just there 3 days ago, or I'll be there. And then they're like, oh, well, that doesn't work for me. What do you want me to do? You want me to freaking make you dinner too? You want me to come to your house and hold your mommy's hand? California, we're going to be in Zamora. Do tell your mom I said hi. So the Michigan class is by Adrian College. I forget the actual name of the town, but southeast corner. That's this summer. That's a 3-day rifle pistol class. Are you coming to the Bay Area? I'm coming to Zamora, which is northwest of Sacramento. So we'll be up there to run class. Going to work our ass off, do rifle pistol training, see some good sights, watch some sunsets, all that stuff. What are you reminding me about dinner for? Clayton, yeah, that's Antonis's town there. Antonis. Be well, don't be dickheads. Check out Ignis Lux Coffee. We really appreciate any support you can give us there. If you don't like it, tell me, and then I'll tell you you've got no taste, that you're tasteless. And you can go back to your Folgers Crystals or whatever other swag-ass garbage you've been drinking. Oh, cool. Short Fuse Miller, 31st and June 28th. You're signed up for both of those? That's cool. Have a great day, Tom, RKBA. Rickaba. Tom Rickaba. Later, bro. Appreciate you, dudes. Peace out. Be well. Don't be dickheads. Tell somebody you love them and all that other shit. Now, here's the hard part. How do I shut this off? Just like this.